Hello, my name is William Cuevas, and this is my presentation on the firm analysis. And the firm that I chose was Group 1 Automotive, and they are an international auto retailer based in Houston, Texas. And currently they serve not only the United States, but they also serve the United Kingdom and Brazil. And they are a large group of car dealerships throughout these countries, and they offer 32 different brands of cars to their customers. And currently they're traded on the New York Stock Exchange. And when it comes to their external environment, one thing that they're having to adapt with is that the mindset of the customer is constantly changing. So new cars come out, new people have new interest, and this Group 1 has to figure out what they can do to attract the customers and what the customers are liking. And because of this, they often choose to sell different types of cars and are always looking into what cars might they need to sell in the future. Another thing that affects Group 1 is that the politics, mainly in the United States, is that the industry is always being pressured by different types of regulations. Most commonly, these regulations are on the emissions, for example, and Group 1 often has to figure out what they can do to comply with these regulations, and if they're selling cars that do not comply, how they could fix it. And another thing that they do to get an edge over their competitors is that they use software to help determine which cars they need to sell in which regions, and it also shows which cars are more likely to sell at different times of the year. When it comes to the internal environment for Group 1, what I was able to find is that they do have a 10-member board of directors, and this was very common as compared to other automotive retailers. Their CEO is Earl Hesterberg, who has been with them for many years now and has a long history of working in this field. And the structure for Group 1 is that they use a consolidated regional structure. So it starts with the upper management, and then they have the United States broken down into different regions. And orders flow from top management down to each region and then to each dealership. So some of their critical success factors is that one thing that they do that I found unique was that they offer a VIP service program, and this allows them to make the car buying experience better for their customers, so that when they come to buy a car, they don't have to worry about the hassle and having to haggle for prices and all the stuff that usually comes with the car buying experience. So by offering this, they allow their customers can show up, get a car that they know they want at a price they want. They don't have to worry about any of that. So the customer does have to pay to be part of this program, which is why Group 1 benefits from it, but it allows customers to be familiar with Group 1 and want to come back next time they have to buy or sell a car. And one other thing they do really well, and it's, as I mentioned before, they use their software, is that they have to always find new ways to target customers and how to keep them coming back. And through their software of knowing what the customers want, and then programs such as this VIP service program, it allows them to target these customers and make sure that these customers enjoyed their experience with Group 1, so that, like I said, the next time that they have to deal with the car, maybe they'll come back to Group 1 to do so. One strategic problem that I found was that their stockholder returns, these returns were positive, but they were not as strong as some of the other competitors that Group 1 has. So this is something that I did see that was a problem that they probably need to address, but I'm sure they will. But as I look to some of their competitors, Group 1 only showed about half the growth that some of its other competitors had. My alternative for this to fix their problem, what I noticed is that Group 1 did implement a value line model, which focuses on the used car market, and this is probably what initially caused the earnings to go down last year. And they could just abandon this model, which would in turn fix their problem, and then their earnings would be able to go back up. But another option would be for them to stick with this model and see it through as they intended and hope that the earnings went up as time went on. What I would do, I recommend that they would stick with this model because I know they've put a lot of thought into it, and that even though initially earnings dropped, I feel that as it had time to run its course, that the earnings would eventually go back up as it intended, which would help the investor return increase as well. Some of the implementation things I would look at is to see if revenue could be increased in any sections when it comes to this value line model. And then to see if cost could be cut back, see if they were spending unnecessary money in certain sections. And then I would just educate the salesman on this model and make sure that they knew how to properly sell this model to the customers, and then just increase advertising and try to target customers even more to make this model the success that they intended it to be.